Faz, do you want to
Yeah,
talk about your
Fazzy,
deck?
do you want to do a deck profile on yours?
Sure.
Can you send the deck to
Sure.
me real quick?
Yeah.
Let me
Like, I need the YDK so I can
post
put on
in
stream.
voice chat.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to the bathroom real quick.
You're good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was mainly to me, like, to send to me so I can put on
If
stream.
I stream, like, my internet's not gonna
No,
survive.
no, I mean, not
so
you
I
stream,
can't-
I mean, like, send your deck to me so I can put it on my stream and you can
It's in
talk
voice chat.
Okay,
It's in
I take
voice
it.
chat.
Thank you. Thank you. Alright, clear, import. There we go. Alright, here's our deck. Alright. Go ahead, talk.
Can you, like, stream on Discord as well? So you can, like, see?
Here, I can stream it on Discord.
Yeah, you can.
Okay,
Right.
one moment.
So long as that, if ads pop up, do let me. Well, oh, yeah, ads are about to end, so we're actually in good time.
Let's see if this works. Can you see the stream?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I
Okay,
can.
wonderful.
All right, go ahead and talk.
Alright, so this is the deck that I got top 1 with on the tournament. The idea of the deck is to have as much engine as possible, because you can just brute force a lot of problems with Ruin Force. Nothing is smaller than it, so like you can get over any monster, and it just negates all of the traps and cards in the battle phase, and it floats. So if you have enough, you can just brute force your way with 2 or even 3 Ruin Forces in 1 turn. That's why I'm playing max every single Machina name except the Kalut, which is Res Avenger.
Yeah.
And I have as much names to banish and to ban as possible. Let's go card by card. Ruin Force, the GOAT. There he is. There's not much to say that hasn't already been said. It's the best card in the format. Floats, it kills guys, it OTKs, it does everything.
It revives guys as well.
Yeah, it just does things. It wins. Then we have, let's skip over the Orochi. Let's talk about Air Raider, which I think is very underrated. Air Raider is a great card. Because first thing is it fixes your hand. If you have a Ruin Force in your hand, you can discard for it. If your hand is Air Raider, Res Avenger, Possessor Age, the Revive, and like a third guy, you can discard the third guy for Air Raider and revive it with a Revive. I always forget the name of like the evil ones. I just call it the Revive, the Sen, and the Kalut. Another important thing about Air Raider is how it's an 8, so you can easily make Felgrand Dragon turn 1 to complement your back row. Or even like in later turns, you can also do it. Felgrand is disruption, it's protection, it does a lot of stuff. Interestingly, is how Air Raider's interaction with Ruin Force. If you use Air Raider's quick effect on Ruin Force, you can summon a bunch of guys back, which you can re-trigger your Revive, re-trigger the Send from deck. You get a lot of advantage back this way. And of course, you also get the summon from Air Raider, which is very nice. Like this, doing this play often allows you to make Felgrand next turn with 2 Air Raiders, which is very, very nice, and basically means the game is over.
That's a really good technique.
And of course, Air Raider can also just, like, if they negated your Gear Frame, you can summon Air Raider during the opponent's turn, pop the Gear Frame, summon the Send from deck, and send a Ruin Force to get your engine going. So it also lets you play through disruptions as well. Then we have Machina Fortress. Fortress does a lot of stuff for the deck, especially in the DM matchup. Because here's the thing, right? If they have Eternal Soul and they have DM, you can crash the Machina Fortress and pop the Eternal Soul. So it's built-in back row removal, which is very notable. And of course, it's a big body that you can summon many times. In addition, so the destruction by battle effect makes it particularly tricky to remove. It's pretty sticky. Like, it's not that easy to out of Fortress without using a monster effect to target it, or without destroying it by battle.
Mm.
If you have like 2 fortresses, you can bait one with the negate of a Ruin Force with the first one, then use the second one to pop something. You can do a lot of stuff, especially crashing fortress into fortress. That's also very nice. Then we have the little guys. 3 of the Sand, 3 Gearframe, 3 Possessor Age, and 1 Riz Avenger. There are a bunch of guys. Something that I see people doing a lot is when they make Gear Geigen, they add to the hand Possessor Age rather than Gearframe. This is a mistake. This is a very big mistake. Like, the idea they do is like, oh, next turn I'm gonna get Possessor Age, normal summon the Possessor Age, Unclass Pair, bounce the back row, summon the Unclass Pair, send something, which is nice. However, there's 2 problems with this. The first, if the opponent doesn't have any back row, the Possessor Age bounce doesn't happen, so you just don't get the Unclass Pair send, which is very bad. But also, if you go with this line, the Gearframe, it adds Unclass Pair. It adds an extra level 4 into the rotation, which means that you added 4 levels rather than just 4 plus the sand, of course. This means that you can make more Ruin Force summons, which, as I established previously, is what wins the game and can solve any problem. Like, even if they're up a back row, you still just have more levels and more Ruin Forces. You still win. Another notable thing, the Possessor Age effect can send Eternal Soul. Use Possessor Age to bounce Eternal Soul, and that still triggers the
Destruction effect.
the field nuke from Eternal Soul,
Yeah.
which can give you the opening to get in for damage, potentially winning the game. So that's another out for DM that you have to keep in mind. And the Kalut's very nice, being able to get extra damage, but also it's a way to get extra levels in the graveyard for free of the Geargigan X, so that can be the difference between getting Ruin Force out or not getting. It also means you win the ties versus another Ruin Force. Like, oh, there's 2 Ruin Forces on the field. If you get Riz Avenger, you can use it to buff up your Ruin Force in main phase 1, then you run over theirs and you have the negate for their floating. That's very, very nice. Then we have the hand traps. 3 Veiler, 3 Coral, nothing else to say. Run them, they're great. 3 Redeployment, it's the best card in the format. Redeployment, they're good. 3 Trap Trickster, Whole Nightmare. A bit of a meh card, but it does the job. The thing with it is that, like, you want to use it on the Unclass Pair summons. Like, the Unclass Pair gets summoned, and then you use Trap Tricks to both negate them from having access to Ruin Force, but also from having access to Geargigan. So it both stops the follow-up and the sand, contrary to something like Lost Wind, where if you Lost Wind, you just stops the sand from deck to graveyard, but you don't stop the Geargigan, which is a problem. Then we have Chaos Trap Hole. Great card. The life point loss is a bit stingy, taking 2k damage, but it's still great card. Like, you can stop, the main target, of course, is the Ruin Force. And remember, Ruin Force solves all of the problems, so preventing the opponent from getting to it is really, really nice. But
I'm back
also,
with sandwiches.
heyo, I'm doing a deck profile.
I see that.
But also, you can use it on a lot of targets you would not expect otherwise. First of all, it works on normal summons of light and dark monsters. So when they summon the Revive or the Sand, you can use it to negate it and banish it, which is very big. You stop the effect, which can stop the turn, stopping the normal summon with some hands, but also negate doesn't let them have the levels in the graveyard for Ruin Force, which is very important. Another thing that Chaos Trap Hole does, it stops them from making dark. A line that I used a lot in the tournament is making dark and then stealing the opponent's cost pair to then send my Rune Force. It's a very powerful line, and stopping the opponent from doing it and not getting the Dark Search is very nice. There's one extra notable target that is very interesting, which is you can Chaos Trap Hole the Magician's Rod. Like you can just Chaos Trap Hole the Magician's Rod so they don't get it.
Yeah.
This is a main deck out to like Rod, and it stops DM. Stopping the Rod stops a lot of DM. They just don't have all the pieces of the puzzle.
So,
Also, it's also, yeah,
can I ask a question?
sure, of course.
I noticed in the games I watched of you in the tourney, you were blinding second a lot.
I did that versus. Yeah, it's a bit of the deck can do either. The extra card is very nice. It's very, very nice to have a
Alright.
sixth card in hand to play with. But also, it depends on the deck. Some decks, you want to go first. Like versus Machina, I mostly went first. Like against Ray in the finals, I did one of the craziest plays in the game, and I decided to go second versus Ray. I was not planning to go second with this deck, but I decided to do it. This is because my plan involved I needed a way to get because let me think of it. Okay, reorganize my thoughts. The thing about Dark Magician is that if you build your board turn 1, then they're gonna dismantle your board and have the follow-up next turn, right? So what I decided to do was tell them, hey, set Eternal Soul first turn so that I can immediately out it and just play. Basically, I was deciding, okay, set up your board, I'll try to break it. And I had many ways that I could out the Eternal Soul and go for game. As mentioned before, I had Possessor Rage, the bounce, I had Crushing Fortress, and I had, what else did I have? I had Castel, but that doesn't really do it. There's Ratten, of course. Like, there's Gengar Trio, which sometimes could come up. I think those are the main, yeah, those are the main. Oh, Fortress and Possessor Rage, right? So like they would go first, they would set up their board, and they would dismantle it. That was the idea, and it worked. Like I had like a bunch of hand traps as well. Then like game, like yeah, like that was maybe that was a mistake, but I won. Like that's
Yeah.
the main decks. All right, I almost forgot to talk about pulling the rug, which is an insane card. Like it stops all of the Machina starters. It stops Tour Guide from the Underworld, which is another thing that like.
A lot of decks are using it.
I did play versus Unchained deck, so it did come up,
Yeah.
which is notable. Like pulling the rug just stops completely Machina from doing their thing. It stops DM from doing their thing. It is really insane how much this stops in this format. Like, if you have like trap tricks, you stop the uncost pairs effect, but you don't. They still have 8 levels in the field to go for reinforce. Pulling the rug doesn't. It's very nice. All right, let's talk about the side. The side's godly. I sided like 10, 12 cards per match, and I would constantly like switch them back and forth if I was going first or second. Like game 1, I would side in all of the going second cards. So I would side MST, Mage Order, and Soul Taker in the mirror. Then when it becomes game 2, then like if I lose, let's say I lose the game 2, in a game 3, I'm gonna choose to go first. I would side them out again and side back in the trap tricks, the chaos trap hole, the pulling the rugs. The deck was very modal based on if it was going first or second. And of course, the Fan helped a lot versus B and versus Unchained. The Soul Taker helped a lot dismantle boards going second. The Mage Order was godly. It's really, really good made to order. It's just the thing, like, if you're in the mirror, you can remove one of the ruined forces or fortresses from their graveyard and get one for you. Or you can like stop a gear frame or a unclass pair and add it to your hand. Like you can make to order the unclass pair, the unclass pair effect, get it out without using the normal summon. All of this while removing levels from the opponent's graveyard so they don't get to summon them ruined force just as much. So it fixes my hands and it is disruption for the opponent's play and follow up. And also, as you may have seen, I cited it in the game versus DM. The idea is that if they have the DM in the graveyard, right, I can make to order the DM to either force out the Eternal Soul or to deny their access to that engine, which is very, very strong. And also I can just yoink a staple like I did a Yonkeda Veiler, which ended up winning me the game, I think, because I could stop their rod. It's very strong in these regards. 3 MST, you have to side your MSTs, you have to have the MST somewhere in your deck. You can't just be caught pants down against DM without them. And it's also like very good going second. Like we would frequently side the Zim going second. And then we had breakthrough skill. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't saw like a more useful thing to run. Like put it in. I never sided these in. They could be another thing. They could be something else. Yeah. The extra deck, very tight, very, very tight. You could cut the Raktan for something. Like you need to have Barricade Board, you need to have Dark, and you need to have Ossa. Barricade Board, you sometimes need to convert advantage from your hand or from your field into the graveyard for ruined forces to come out, right? Or like there are times where like I have a guy like Unclass Pair and a Gear Gigant, and I would make Barricade Board just to get them into the graveyard so I can have the levels to summon like a second ruined force. That often wins the game. Of course, Dark, you can revive an Unclass Pair. You can revive a Possessed Rage and get the effect. Also, you can summon back the Fortresses, which is very strong for getting damage. You can also bring back Air Raiders, which are very strong. Because that way, if you summon the Air Raider, you can make Felgren again, which is very strong. And of course, you can steal an opponent's Charmer and go into a Bomb. A Bomb is really, really nice for clearing up board states. Almost as nice as going to a Bomb is Borrow Code. If you can set up Borrow Code in the graveyard, it's so good, because it means that if the opponent gets a Ruined Force, or even their own a Bomb into the field, you can just yoink it away, just get removal, and get your own Trisbania. It's another big body that you can use to go for lethal. And then we have the rank 4s, which they did come up. Like, I won a game off of Silent Honorar, which, if you get it off, like, Possessed Rage, you can make a rank 4. The Silent Honorar can out a face-up attack position Ruined Force, which is very big. But if you don't have it there in defense, you can make Castell instead. And then we have Giant Hand, which did come up. I did make Giant Hand. Like sometimes when you're playing Machina, you dismantle the opponent's board, but you know they have a Unclass Pair, a Gear Frame, or a Possessed Rage in hand, and like a bunch of follow-up in the graveyard. Being able to flex your advantage into a Giant Hand, it does mean that you can't have used the Unclass Pair summoned from hand effect, but you can weave some lines to get Giant Hand on the field, and it does a lot of work for stopping the normal summon. It's very, very nice. I like this inclusion a lot. And then we have the Bolt. The Bolt's nice. Sometimes you just make it and burn with King Gadriel, the rank 10. Like, if you're machine locked, you have follow-up option in the form of Gear Gigant and a board presence option in terms of Dreadnought, the Bolt. It's nice. 2 Gear Gigants, you don't need 3. You don't need 3. You just need 2. Then we have Felgrand. Great card. It's negate. It's protection. It just does everything you need to. It's great. And then we have Gengadriel. Can I tell you guys something really funny about Gengadriel? You can hard make Gengadriel with 2 reinforces. And that did win a game for me in the tournament. It did win a game of attached to reinforces, make Gengadriel, pop something, burn. It's a very versatile card, both for making with reinforces and for making with the Dreadnought. Like, you make, like, there are board. I think there was a game where I made summon reinforce like 4 times. Because I summoned in a turn. I summoned twice, made Gengadriel, detach it, burn it, destroy it, and then I just summoned the ones that I attach it again. You just keep summoning him in this deck. That's the deck. That's the deck for 5.
You don't.
Well, fantastic.
You don't want to talk about Gizmek at all?
Oh right, I forgot about that guy.
We skipped it.
We skipped him. Yep, thank you. This card is great. You can't play this deck without it. He's so good. He's unbelievably good. So first of all, he's the best card to discard in the deck. So like if you have Gizmek Orochi and redeployment, you basically go +1 of redeployment. It's so good when you do that. But also, let's say you have like redeployment or Air Raider plus Fortress and Gizmek Orochi. You can use redeployment or Air Raider to discard the Fortress. And then the Fortress from the graveyard discards the Gizmek Orochi. Then you summon the Orochi. So it's like you went +2 kinda. That you basically did not have to discard anything to get the Fortress. And didn't have to discard anything for the redeployment or the Air Raider. That is so good. That is very good. Another important thing with Gizmek Orochi. It's an 8, so you can make Felgrand. So like Air Raider plus any Machina plus Orochi, that's just Felgrand and follow up. The thing about Gizmek Orochi is that it's just follow up. It's follow up, it's pop, it's board presence. You can win games just entirely of Orochi beatdown sometimes, which happened a lot in the finals. Like just keep summoning Orochi every turn, keep going in, and keep using your traps to stop the opponent. It's also an 8, like an 8 is the magic number for this deck, because an 8 plus a 4, that's a ruined force. But a Fortress plus a 4 is not ruined force. You need a third card. So the level is very important. So like everything about this card is great. Like you can summon it a lot. It's a lot of field material. You can make dark with it. You can make Felgrand. You can make a bomb with it. You can pop cards. It does everything to the deck. It's great discard fodder. It's insane. It's an insane card. I don't believe in the build that doesn't play
Yeah.
so much. It's a card that, like, if you draw 4 back row, like in hand trap, and 1 Gizmek Orochi, you're still pretty set. Because, like, if the opponent didn't do anything, you can just summon this guy over and over again every turn. That's just good, you know? And you can just do so much of it. It's so good. Like, there was a game where I almost decked out versus the semifinals. I was to 0 cards in deck. I won the last game of the format of the game. Had I not won that game, I would have decked out. Like I had managed to get so much damage in and so much advantage of the constantly looping Gizmek that I just managed to get lethal in the last turn. It was very hype. Like there's not much to say. It fixes your hands, it makes Felgrand, it's consistency, it's follow-up, it's a big body for damage. It does everything you wanted to. It's great. I think that's it. Any questions, Yao?
No, I don't have any questions. I know that the opinion about Trap Hole, the Trap Hole card is pretty much the same as what Dragon said, where this card is kind of iffy. I can see why it can be iffy, definitely.
Yeah, like it's definitely the trap that I'm the least happy with, but I'm still happy with it. it does the stuff that I wanted to do. Like it stops them from getting reinforced in the graveyard and from doing follow-up next turn. It's nice. Yeah, that's a deck.
I might have mentioned already, but what's the idea behind Life Taker in the side or Soul Taker, whatever that card's called?
That's a great question. Sometimes going second, you just want to clear the board to go for damage. Like they have like, if they have like a Reinforce and a Fortress, then you're kind of in trouble because you can't use your negate both for your Reinforce negate for both the Fortress and the Reinforce. You know, you have to pick one or the other. So being able to just, oh, here's Soul Taker, die, is very nice. It's also kind of nice how like it just helps in a lot of other matchups of Rogue. Like if you fight it versus B, for example, you can Soul Taker one of their disruptors. Or like even if you're going versus Unchained, you can just Soul Taker, pop your Link 2, the one that's disruption, and they don't have disruption anymore.
I was gonna say Soul Taker is kind of crazy into the B matchup because I don't think there's like a scenario with B against Machina that if you pop like exactly number 3 in B, unless they've got like good back row, which B usually doesn't. You usually don't have the space for good back row. You're going up to like above 40 and being less consistent if you want good back row in B, and then it's like they can do nothing to Rune Force because their entire interaction is a board wipe in the battle phase, which is exactly countered by Rune Force.
There's also the Scale Bomber, which only triggers unactivated effects, which Rune Force isn't. It does nothing. Also for Bs, I didn't play versus B this game, but like I was prepared for B. Because like Phantasme is really good for Bs, since they're often going to Pico. And Phantasme is a lot of consistency. And it also can negate the Cicada King. Phantasme can negate Cicada King targeting. So that's another point where it cooks them. There's also the Soul Taker, which is very nice. And like there is some great card. Like I remember Breakthrough Skill is in the deck for Bs. So like versus Bs, I would side out pulling the rug and add in Breakthrough Skill. Yeah, that's what Breakthrough Skill is for. It's for the Bs. I forgot about that because I didn't play versus Bs.
It's surprising how unrepresented Bees is. There's only like 3 people, and then Unchained somehow had 5 people.
That's just because Bees is complicated.
Yeah, B is complicated. It doesn't have a lot of room for non-engine, and it also loses to all the shit that Machina loses to.
Why would anyone play B when you could play Machina? It's easier, it's better, it's more consistent, and it plays more back row.